Hey, what's up? It's Thune, and today I wanted to give some more feedback on Resto Shaman heading into Season 3. This is a healer that hasn't really found its footing yet in Dragonflight. Does not bring a raid buff. One of the few specs, it's like Resto Shaman, LE, and Hunters that don't have a raid or party buff, really. Um, so still don't have that heading into Season 3. And the spec hasn't really just done very well in raid. It's been okay in Mythic Plus. It's like a way to bring bloodlust to your group, but with the introduction of like augmentation evoker, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So it still does okay in Mythic Plus, but I don't foresee it being like the meta spec, at least not right now. But I wanted to give some more feedback on like the tier bonus, the changes for the spec heading into the new season, and then also just some like quick talent feedback. I'm not going to cover every single talent because I've done that on the forums here, and it would take a long time to cover that in a video. I don't want this to be like 45 minutes long. So, but I'll link this down below in the description if you want to go through everything. It's been up there for a while, and the talent tree is probably, it's up there with like not having a raid or party buff for me. It's like one of the biggest pain points of the spec, in my opinion. So let's just dive into the feedback and stuff. Mana Spring Totem is being nerfed. External mana talents and stuff, and the throughput of like healing cooldowns is kind of being nerfed across the board, as well as like some AoE spells and stuff. So keep that in mind. I'm not concerned with like the throughput of the spec right now. Like throughput is something that they can balance in the last few weeks of the BTR. We're still kind of in the like design and iteration part of it. So don't get overly focused on like numbers just yet. But it is funny that Mana Spring got nerfed because it's an external mana talent, even though it was restoring a negligible amount of mana. So this is actually, if you look at it positively, this is a buff for Resto Shaman because you can now just save this talent point and not take it and just put it into like a defensive node or something instead. So, okay, Healing Stream Totem was buffed and Cloudburst Totem was nerfed. Cloudburst Totem is still better. However, if you are someone that like really hates Cloudburst Totem or just doesn't like using it or isn't very good at using it, then Healing Stream is at a point where it is like fine. Still worse, but it's okay to maybe use it now. So for the few people out there that prefer it over Cloudburst Totem, maybe that's good news to you. Healing Wave and Healing Surge got buffed. So this is good. We were asking for single target healing spells. And you also see like Riptide and Unleash Life down here as well. The downside for Healing Wave and Healing Surge is they kind of fight for the same spot in the like rotation, so to speak, as Chain Heal. So all three of those spells consume tidal waves, which is like something that we don't really care about, but we have to buff our spells. And now that Healing Wave and Healing Surge got buffed, they're just straight up better than Chain Heal, both in terms of efficiency and also just the amount of healing that they do. So, and I'll talk about it a little bit with the tier bonus later, but these spells are also incentivized much more on the tier bonus than Chain Heal is. And then also with like the nerfs to mana, especially our own mana via Resurgence, Chain Heal's kind of just dead. I don't. You could literally unbind it on the PTR in testing, and like it wouldn't have mattered. So that's hopefully something that they take a look at. Primordial Wave and Cloudburst Totem nerfs were kind of like, the Primordial Wave is just because Healing Wave got buffed. Cloudburst Totem was kind of them trying to cut down on this like AoE healing or whatever, I guess. Not a huge fan, but it's still better than Healing Stream, so that's fine for now. Because I love Cloudburst Totem personally. Ascendance, like I said, just healing cooldowns across the board kind of got hit. Manatide Totem was already pretty bad. You never really took the upgrade points for it. There's a lot of people that have like Spirit Walker's Tidal Totem, but it wasn't actually good. It just feels good. You're never going to take Manatide Totem now, so I don't know what the plan is with that, but it does not restore very much mana. It's like 10,000 mana on a 3-minute cooldown, which is like the cost of a Riptide or something. So I don't know what their plan is for that, but you just won't talent it now. Resurgence really sucks. So Rest of Shaman's spells are, like the mana costs and stuff, are balanced with Resurgence in mind. Um, and like our spells are much more expensive than most other healers. So this change really hurts as far as mana goes. Um, and it was to the point where, so I'll show you the gameplay in a little bit. But you're ooming in like 3 minutes on Shaman if you are actually utilizing the tier bonus properly by spamming Healing Wave and Riptide, which are two of our most efficient heals that we can press. So hopefully Resurgence is something that actually gets just completely reverted, because mana was already tight in Season 2. We're losing Rashaks, or they're kind of gutting Rashaks rather. And there doesn't seem to be any mana trinkets except for maybe the one from Black Red Cold to kind of like satiate us. So yeah, mana does not feel good for Shaman on PTR at all, and that's even without ever pressing Chain Heal. Like I said earlier, these things just needed to be buffed, but glad that they got buffed finally. Ancestral Awakening was something that we were taking on PTR. It was finally doing like good healing. Nerfing the healing is okay with me. This change right here, nerfing how it actually heals, so it's now just a random injured player instead of like actual true smart healing. This really was like a much bigger nerf than most people realize. The good part of Ancestral Awakening was the fact that it was a smart heal. So this had like as much as like 50% overhealing for me yesterday, and did like very little healing. So that's something I hope they nerf. I don't want them to like come back and be like, oh well, it's not doing much healing, so we're going to buff the amount of healing it does. This should be the thing that they focus on, and if they want to then balance the healing around that, fine with me. But it being smart healing is a good thing, and yeah, I don't like that change personally. So I want to talk quite a bit about the tier bonus, because the tier bonus is, so it was really, really strong. It's kind of got like lukewarm opinions across the Shaman player base. It was really good. It was like 30% of my healing in week 1 of testing, so that's like broken. And it needed nerfed, and I agree with that. The playstyle that it promotes is not healthy for the spec at all. It's also very, very unfun. So that's the part that I kind of want to like really nail and like give feedback on, is the playstyle sucks. I don't care how strong it is. They can change numbers and stuff later on, whatever. The playstyle is not fun though. So what's the tier bonus do? Whenever you Healing Wave, Healing Surge, or only the initial player of a chain heal gets Tidal Reservoir, which is just a 15-second buff that takes all the Riptide healing you do, or 15% of the Riptide healing you do, and goes into that player. So it's a pretty simple 2-piece. Heavily incentivizes pressing Healing Wave or Healing Surge over Chain Heal, because Chain Heal is so much more expensive, and Chain Heal still only goes on to one player, just like Healing Wave and Healing Surge. Primordial Wave, Healing Waves do not apply this set bonus, so the set bonus doesn't really interact with like any of our talents for the most part. So anything like, oh, you get new Riptides, does that count towards Primal Tidal Core? No, it doesn't. The Riptides also cannot proc Deeply Rooted Elements either, so just keep that in mind. One thing that I've kind of been thinking about, so Tidal Reservoir is 15 seconds per player. Maybe to incentivize Chain Heal, it needs to be like 15 seconds split over every player hit for Chain Heal or something. I don't really know the fix there, but it's currently way too heavily favored in pressing Healing Wave or Healing Surge instead. And again, with the other stuff that I said earlier, Chain Heal's just completely dead. You're just not pressing it right now. So the 4-piece is if the player has, so it just buffs your Riptide healing by 15%. And then if the player has Riptide and also Tidal Reservoir, then that player, or every single Riptide hot tick has a now a 5% chance to just generate a new Riptide on a nearby player. So this is, the idea is nice. We really needed help like spreading Riptides on people. That was like one of the pain points that people have with Primordial Wave, is like if you're not really proactive with keeping Riptide on cooldown, then Primordial Wave can feel really underwhelming. So this does help with that. The issue, in my opinion, is the fact that you have to have Tidal Reservoir and also Riptide on the same player. So Tidal Reservoir used to last 10 seconds, which was a pretty short duration, and this had a much higher chance to actually spread. They increased the duration and nerfed the amount that it can spread, but that didn't change the playstyle at all. So the idea is that you Riptide players, and then you just try to apply Tidal Reservoir to them by spamming Healing Wave, and that's it. That's all you're doing in Raid in Season 3. You lay down Healing Rain and cooldown, and then you're spamming Riptide and spamming Healing Wave, and that is it. There's nothing else to the spec. And that's really boring. Really, it's not fun, and you just ignore like a lot of your kit doing this. So the 4-piece, I think, is what needs to be changed here. Not the 2-piece. The 2-piece, it's fine. And it actually does, like, now with the nerfs, this is actually like the larger, the more potent part of the tier bonus now. So one other downside of the 4-piece, though, is that, like, this is almost useless in Mythic Plus. You already have Riptide on, like, 4 players generally in a Mythic Plus setting, and yeah, this does almost nothing in Mythic Plus, so that doesn't feel good either. So in my opinion, the 4-piece is the problem here. It's salvageable for sure, and again, not worried about the numbers or anything just yet, but the playstyle really sucks. So I want to show you like kind of what the playstyle looks like. This is Smolderon. So this fight had a lot of movement, and this playstyle really wants you to just like sit and turret and cast Healing Wave as much as possible. So I wasn't able to utilize it super well, but the idea is that every single player that has a green frame, that means they have Riptide on them. And the goal is if they have at least 15 seconds left on Riptide, then you want to Healing Wave them to apply Tidal Reservoir, and that's it. That's all you're doing. I did not play it like super well because I had no idea what the fights did. Didn't look at them beforehand or anything. But yeah, that's like the entire goal is I'm spreading Riptides and then trying to spam Healing Wave on players that are green. And that's it. That's all I was doing the entire fight. Healing was like okay, but the gameplay of just like only pressing it on certain people, like really limiting your target selection is not fun. So now this was actually when Tidal Reservoir used to be 10 seconds. I tested it again yesterday. It felt the exact same. Instead of having Tidal Reservoir on like 2 to 3 players at a time, it's now like 4 or 5 players at a time, but the whole idea is the exact same. So I really want them to look at the 4-piece and hopefully change that to reduce this like really heavy turrety playstyle that only revolves pressing like 2 buttons the entire time. But I think it's like hopefully salvageable. So I wanted to quickly touch on like talent tree feedback, because our talent tree is honestly, it's been not great all of Dragonflight, but especially when we're not really pressing chain heal, it's like really, really dire. So again, not going to cover every talent. I'll link the forum post down below if you want to read my like thoughts on all the talents and stuff. But I just want to give you a look at what the talent tree looks like, because it's funny to see this like 8 required. I went through and looked. Resto Shaman has 16 available talent points up here. BM Hunter and Marksmanship Hunter also have 16. And then I think Destro and Demo, or it's Destro and Affliction, have 14. And then most other specs have between like 9 and 11 potential points that they can spend up here. This is what our talent tree looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can move on, but I'm not going to. 9, 10, 11, 12, bare minimum. You also really would like to take Ancestral Vigor. It's not a throughput increase, but it's very, very good for progression. So 12 points minimum at the top. You would like to take 14, and there's a pretty good chance that you actually do take 14. Unbelievable. That is almost half of my talent points just in the top section. I want to spend those down here, not up at the top. And I've been giving this feedback for like all of Dragonflight so far. This is not going to change, I think, for season 3, but hopefully like come 10.25, 10.3, if there is a 10.3, like I really want to see the talent tree adjusted, and just so that you can get an idea of like what the talent tree looks like if you didn't take Ancestral Vigor, for example. It would be something like this. Torrent, I guess. And then -1 point in Torrent. Torrent isn't even that good, so you can just completely remove this point and put it into Ancestral Vigor or whatever. And I don't want to cover, again, I don't want to cover every single talent point, but like our capstones are not very good. So Primordial Wave is nice. High Tide is nice, but Chain Heal's dead right now. Primal Tide Core has needed buffed for a long time. The only reason we're taking this is because we're really only pressing Healing Wave and Riptide anyway. But with the nerfs to Ancestral Awakening, there's a good chance that you just like don't run this. You can maybe run Ascendance itself. So you could just like remove these talent points and put them here. Or what's probably going to happen is you just do this. And you spend 7 talent points at the bottom of your tree. That feels awful. And something that, you know, the talent tree has been kind of in shambles for a long time, and I really hope they are able to take a look at this soon because it's not fun. So if I had to do like a quick summary, like I think Resto Shaman still needs raid buff, along with Hunter. Like there's no reason that some of these specs should just like not have something when nearly every single other spec in the game does. The talent tree feels really bad, and the 4-piece is super like limiting as far as like playstyle and stuff goes. Talent, or like, well, yeah, also talent selection, since like Chain Heal doesn't really have a place right now. So those are the things that I really want to see changed before Season 3 happens. Don't think the talent tree is going to get adjusted, but hopefully everything else can at least get looked at. So that's all I wanted to talk about today, though. I will continue testing, hopefully, on PTR and stuff. But yeah, let me know if you have any feedback or whatever. And also, if you have some more talent tree feedback, again, this is linked down below. Please put it out in the forums. They've actually been quite good at responding and stuff to specs that are giving feedback. So, but yeah, I'll catch you guys later.